like it's 5 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and start the Scott County Board of Adjustment meeting. First thing on the agenda would be approving last meeting's minutes. Has everybody looked them over? Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the May 7th, 2026 minutes.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. Okay, and you can swear in the speakers for us.
If everyone signed in to speak, you can stand and raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm the statement you're to make tonight to be the truth to the best of your information and belief? Yes. Thank you.
Okay, then we'll begin with application S 2026-15. And that would be at, where is it at? At
Sims Road.
on Hims Road, 485 Sims Road. And if we can go ahead and begin.
Members of the board, before we get into this, I just want to clarify a couple things. The application you have before you is for a variance. That's the closest the staff was able to put together as an application type to bring before you. The question at play here, though, is whether or not this is truly a variance or if it's a determination that the regulation should not apply in this particular circumstance. Variances by nature are typically dimensional. What we're really looking at here is the establishment of a structure prior to a residence. In viewing this circumstance, the A1 zone typically allows two different types of uses without conditions, and that is residential and agricultural. If this pole barn was truly in service of an agricultural use on the property, there would be no reason to have any sort of either condition or regulation put upon it, because that structure would be in service of a primary use of the property. As a building in service of a residential use, that is where that regulation that no accessory structures can be in the front yard comes into play. I think that it would be a good line of questioning to figure out exactly what this pole barn is being used for, but just understand that the sequencing is what is necessitating this application in front of you. The applicant very well may put in this pole barn and then never come back for that residential use, in which case there is no front yard because there is no house to establish the front yard. So staff has recommended approval. Toshi is going to talk through how we came to that recommendation, but just understand that whether you view this as a variance or use it within your jurisdiction to determine that that front yard regulation just simply shouldn't apply to this structure, you can come at it one of a couple different ways. And so I just wanted to preface that if the question gets asked, why are we looking at this as a variance? Variances are typically dimensional in nature. Toshi, you want to go from there? Okay. Any questions as far as that's concerned?
Charlie, be ready.
I couldn't say it any better than Olden just did.
Good evening, everyone. So as Holden mentioned, the first application is for a variance to allow the construction of a pole barn within the front yard and prior to the establishment of the primary dwelling unit. The site is around 5 acres, is zone A1 and is accessed from Sims Pike. Overall, staff recommends approval of this request. Shown here is the aerial view of the property and the topography map that shows that the site slopes from east to west. So currently the property contains a gravel parking area, and as mentioned by the applicant, it's used for storage of equipments and trailers associated with off-site operations. This is just the zoomed in view of the property to show you those uses. So here is the aerial view of the adjoining property to the south, which is addressed as 481 Sims Pike. which contains a small-scale retail store that previously received approval for a conditional use permit to operate a home occupation for a farm business in May 2024, as well as approval for a home occupation associated with farm-to-table business operations in January 2022. And this is the view of the adjoining property to the north, which contains a residential use. So, in reviewing this request, the board is reminded of the criteria outlined under KRS 100.243, which governs the granting of variances. Before any variance is granted, the board must find that the variance will not affect public health, safety, or welfare. It will not alter the essential character of the general vicinity. It will not cause a hazard or nuisance to the public, and it will not allow an unreasonable circumvention of zoning regulation. So the proposed accessory structure is a 48-foot by 100-foot pole barn located approximately 75 feet from the front property line along Sims Pike Way. As mentioned, the structure is intended for enclosed storage and that no commercial activity, customer traffic, lighting, or signage is proposed in association with this structure. The future principal dwelling is proposed towards the eastern portion of the property as a 36-foot by 78-foot residence, which is proposed approximately 125 feet from the rear property line and approximately 65 feet from the nearest adjoining property line. According to the applicant, the proposed dwelling location is intended to provide additional separation and privacy from the adjoining commercial store operation to the south, while also utilizing the elevated and more secluded rear portion of the site. So staff finds that the request is based on unique conditions, including the presence of an adjoining commercial related operation, and the variance allows reasonable use of the property while maintaining the required setbacks. In terms of findings, again, the project site is a 5-acre A1 zone parcel. The applicant is requesting a variance to allow construction of a pole barn accessory structure prior to the establishment of the primary dwelling unit and within the required front yard area. The proposed accessory structure is a 48-foot by 100-foot pole barn intended for storage of trailers and equipments. The future principal dwelling is proposed towards the eastern rear portion of the property in order to provide additional separation and privacy. Existing driveway access from Sims Pike will be utilized and extended into the property, and no additional access points are proposed as part of this request. The variance does not seek relief from the required 50-foot setbacks. Therefore, staff recommends an additional condition requiring all structures to maintain the required 50-foot setbacks as submitted in the concept plan. In conclusion, staff recommends approval of the variance to allow construction of the pole barn accessory structure within the front yard and prior to the construction of the principal dwelling unit at the subject property, with the standard conditions of approval as outlined in the staff report. In addition to that, staff would also like to inform the board that we received a phone call from adjoining property owner at 509 Sims Pike Way. They had concerns related to the proposed structure that could for the possibility of it being used for a commercial activity in the future. To address these concerns, staff suggests that the board consider adding an additional condition of approval, number 6, which was not included in the staff report but may be considered at this time, stating that the pole barn shall be used for agricultural, residential, and accessory storage purposes and shall not be utilized for any commercial activity unless such use is separately approved through the applicable conditional use permit process. Does the board have any question for staff?
Can you put that previous page back up? Okay, thank you, Toshi.
Okay. Is the owner or the representative of the owner here to speak?
Yes, I'm the applicant.
Yes, okay. If you will, stand at the podium.
I'm Kami Catalyst, the applicant for the owner. I'd be glad to answer any questions or provide any additional information. I just want to reiterate, storage, it is simply storage. The owner
Could
does.
you speak up a little bit?
The owner does concrete work,
Oh,
so
that doesn't help for loudness. You gotta produce the
Don't
loudness.
sound like the mic's on.
No, they're not for broadcasting, they're just for recording. You need to provide the extra oomph.
Okay, I just want to reiterate that the accessory structure for storage is simply that, it's storage. The owner does concrete work. So he does the footers for new homes, the basement walls for new homes, concrete floors for the garages, sidewalks and driveways. So there's no work that would invite customers to his residence. But he wants to protect his equipment for longevity and reduce loss of downtime, reduce the risk of safety with people wandering over and getting on the equipment, just to simply protect his equipment.
Who's the owner?
That's, yeah. You're not the owner.
No, Alberto Paulin,
Where's he-
also known as Superior Concrete LLC.
Okay, where is he currently storing his equipment at?
Right there on the lot is visualized in the PBA view,
Okay,
on his gravel pad.
okay, so he started storing before approval.
I don't know. I know he parked. I don't know that.
Okay,
And he probably didn't know if that was okay or not okay either.
okay. Do you know when he's going to construct the house?
His expectation is within a year. So I've already completed the septic site evaluation to include the house,
Yeah, but
which will
then
be a
we don't have
4-bedroom home. And the accessory structure, he would like to have 1 bathroom. So they consider that a 5-bedroom septic system, which on that lot has to be a fill and wait because it won't allow for a standard drain field or a lagoon. It will be a fill and wait pad for a 5-bedroom.
That's under
Okay.
that, not his name.
Why are you doing this application instead of the owner, just for curiosity?
I'm also a builder, and we work together in Bourbon and Harrison counties. He does all my concrete work on my custom homes. So he asked if I'd be familiar with this process, but I thought we were just applying for building permits for an accessory structure. I wasn't aware of Scott County's regulations with the structure being in front of the dwelling. That kind of threw up a flag I wasn't familiar with. So this is a new process to me.
Charlie, is there a problem with that?
Do we have to have an affidavit?
Well, there's clearly a potential problem, I guess, with it not being the applicant or someone, contractually bound on the property.
Like previously with 25, that
Yeah,
project?
that's why we've required affidavits, and frankly, there's even problems with there simply being affidavits. But that's something that we've always just kind of let alone because people can't always be here for these things. They've got, they got livelihoods to
You all
make.
have an affidavit, though?
So the applicant was Candy, who had a file key.
But it's not her property.
Yeah, she's not the owner of
She's
that
not the-
property.
So I, yeah, we don't think we have an affidavit.
We don't? We do.
We don't.
We do not. I don't feel comfortable with it. I don't know where you all are on it. Sorry.
What's the other commissioners think about it?
My question to Charlie would be, can we add that as a condition of approval?
That we get that affidavit post?
I really wouldn't have a problem with that, and I can't imagine anybody, raising any kind of legal problem, that would cause. So I think you probably can. The as I said, that really doesn't solve the problem. But
So what do you have more problem with? Or you have more problem with the house not being in front of the other one, or the pole barn being there? Because if you take the A1, there's a lot of farms out there that's got buildings and barns on them that don't have a house on them.
yeah, well, actually, I
Right
don't have.
close to the road, close
Yeah.
to the road.
Actually, that really, to me, is the crux of it, and that's part of what we've been discussing. I don't have a problem with them putting an accessory building, because it's not an accessory building, there's no house there.
Yeah.
And anybody that buys property in A1, I believe they can put up any building they want. They're not asking for a variance, really. And I don't have a problem with that. So that really is not the problem. The problem is, that's the way it's always been treated, and I don't really think it should be treated that way. Now, if they've got a house underway, then fine. Put all this accessory stuff all out back, although I'm not entirely sure why we would even care. But regardless, at that point, we've got a rule, so we need to do something with the rule. Even though they expect to have a house within a year, and even though they're actually doing something about it, they're actually having the septic tank evaluation and so on, all that's fine. There isn't a house there now. There is no front yard there now. So my thinking is, if it would please the board, is the interpretation or whatnot that you actually make today is that in this situation, that rule doesn't apply. Now, that's what I would like to see happen. Again, that doesn't satisfy the problem of not having an owner or a contract holder up here. And maybe if we put that in the record,
Yeah.
but she's not going to have a contract on it, and she's not going to be an owner, so I'm not sure we can really correct
It
that
is
one.
absolutely not personally that we should have an affidavit. I want you to know that.
Okay.
Holden, do you have something to add to that?
Yes.
Thank you.
So, understanding now a little bit more about the intents of the property owner. Staff's concern is with that final condition that we've added right there.
Yeah.
Indicating that the purpose of the pole barn is to either support the residential use of the structure or the agricultural use of the parcel. It appears that the applicant
Commercial.
desires the commercial use of the property. That sounds like a home occupation in the A1 zone. The interpretation that the building can be in the front yard, or lacking a front yard, that it can be placed where they want, does not absolve them of that kind of secondary issue. Anytime that we have essentially a structure now that's being utilized to facilitate a commercial enterprise, staff would feel much more comfortable reviewing that as a conditional use for a home occupation. We're back to the problem that there's no home on the site.
Well, that's just it. And not only that, but as it stands, at least as far as I believe the law is, they can put this building up without any permission at all. And it would be irrelevant that they're actually putting some commercial stuff in there. Because we don't have any rule that says you got to come in here first before you put stuff in your barn.
Yeah.
Now, and quite frankly, just as a practical matter, how many people out in the country in their barns have commercial stuff?
Yep.
We never even know because it's not causing a problem. That's just, boy, that's getting to be a real reach, I think. So that's why my thinking is, when there's no house and they want to put a barn up and it's an A1 zone, they just need to put up a barn. And all they really need to worry about is keeping it within the setbacks. Now, if they put it in there and they start doing commercial stuff out of it, well, now that can be a complaint made through our office,
We got a problem.
and we can do something about that. But just putting up a barn,
Yeah.
My
that-
problem is not with the barn. I love a good pole barn. But like, I want an affidavit for
Yeah.
everybody who does anything on anybody else's land. I think that that's an expected thing.
Yeah, again, staff's concern at this point is that because we are aware of their intent and how they intend to use the pole barn, I want to be really, I think it's beneficial for the board to be very clear what they are granting allowance of, and then conversely, what's not being
Commercial
granted
use.
allowance here.
and it may well be that that we, instead of saying it be used only for storing ag stuff, just simply there be no commercial activity. And that way, if they're storing some, concrete mixers or something in there, and we don't know anything about it, nobody else knows about it, doesn't bother anybody, we don't really care a whole lot. On the other hand, trucks start, coming in and out, and we're doing some serious commercial activity.
But it
Precast
would,
or
but
concrete or whatever.
it wouldn't alter the vicinity because that's adjoining property is commercial, correct? It says commercial restaurant, right?
No, it's residential, we approved
No,
that.
it's
Oh, okay, it
residential.
says
Sure.
zoned commercial, so I was just going off of that.
No, it's not.
No,
so
it- no.
It
it's not.
says it, that's what I was going off of.
Yeah.
The question, again, staff's preference on that would be to consider that with a separate application.
Okay,
Right now, again, we're gonna narrow the kind of the analysis
see
to
it.
just what's being requested right here.
Yep.
Which is to put a pole barn in what will be the front yard. That's the only thing that we feel comfortable as staff at this point, understanding that, again, we'd like that to be used for either agricultural or in support of the residents, not commercial activity.
Yeah.
If we were to review a conditional use permit, obviously that would be up to them to demonstrate that they are not impacting, with their proposed activity, the surrounding neighborhood.
And it's truly accessory.
yeah, on page 5, like front facing, page 6, front facing, both pages say zone commercial.
Is that mentioned in the staff report?
It's in our packet, so that's what I have to go and learn off of.
I'm pretty sure it's not commercial.
I'm just,
No, because I
That-
remember it
that-
coming before this
Zone.
board.
Yeah,
Commercial.
I agree with you, Tommy.
Okay.
I understand, but what I'm trying to say is like what I've been provided with shows it as commercial, that's all I'm saying.
So, Channing, I think the page that you're reading is the supplemental information provided by the applicant. So, they were under the assumption that
You
it's.
see it?
Yeah, that's provided by the applicant, not by staff.
Okay. So it's the conditional use.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, regardless, it wouldn't alter the vicinity, even with the conditional use of zone commercial, right, Charlie?
Well, yes, but it's not.
But
I
it
mean,
wouldn't be a conditional use for them.
Well, I'm not sure I understand the question.
For it to be
The one next
commercial.
door is not commercial. It is A1, and they have a conditional use permit to run that farm to table.
That's correct.
So it is not commercial.
Okay,
They have a conditional use. Now, but let's go back to the affidavit for a moment.
that's all I really.
If that affidavit is signed by the owner and the owner says, I'm part of this application, that takes care of all our concern on the affidavit part.
So do you do that as a contingency?
Well, and they won't get the letter saying everything's fine until they bring that in. And they can bring that in tomorrow morning and be done with it.
I'm
So
saying,
you can do that.
that's what I'm asking.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, do I hear a motion or any more further questions?
Well, yeah, wait just a minute. So are you
Why are you
comfortable?
looking in my direction again?
Come on,
Okay,
Charlie.
we've got the issue with the affidavit. She's gonna take care of
Yeah,
that.
that's taken care of tomorrow.
So, we're okay on everything else?
Well, as I believe I'm not exactly quoting, but summarizing Holden, the only thing in front of us is the front yard question. And I believe, again, my thought would be that the board would move to say there is no front yard as yet because there's no residence. And therefore, that does not require,
Charlie, if anybody goes out there and builds a house or decides right now, me, I go out there, is there a rule right now that I can't put my garage in front of my house? There's not, is there?
well, actually, there is. You can't have an accessory structure in the front yard. So basically, your building line, you can't go up here. It's got to be from there back unless you end up with a variance of some sort because there's sinkholes or
What if you
whatever.
change the driveway? Instead of coming from here, I went down the side, and that is actually now the front.
There's,
That's
there's,
And it's to the side.
there are lots of ways to skin a cat.
That's what I'm
I
saying.
thought it was.
So we do define what the front yard setback is and how we determine that. It's not based on where the driveway comes in at. It's based on the road's orientation and the parcel's orientation to the road. And so it is an existing regulation. Well, again, we've put it in front of you as a variance. It may be more applicable to just determine that lacking the primary structure, there is no front yard yet, and so therefore that regulation does not apply. And then the other one is, again, for barns in particular, because that services the primary use of the property, agricultural, those would not be affected by that regulation. It's only accessory uses to the residential that we'd be concerned with.
The reason why I was so focused on commercial is she said it's for a business. So like, if we do it as it is as agricultural, or like how it's written up there, the bottom number 6, will they have to come back if somebody complains that a business is being ran out of?
We would prefer if they came back before the complaint is made,
That's why I'm asking, can we fix that before that's a problem?
not without an application.
Okay,
No.
so it would have to be a whole new application.
Yes.
So is that not, would that not save time, like, wouldn't that save everybody a lot of grief if we just had a new application?
I mean,
I'm
that's,
just asking.
But at the
I don't
moment,
know
they
how
don't
to
really
fix it.
need one.
Okay, but as soon as they go to use that, what if so-and-so calls and they're like, hey, this isn't farming, this isn't residential, and like they see concrete trucks going in and out, and it's not for concrete on your farm. So like, is there a way to solve it before it becomes a problem?
No,
Okay,
no, we have to take things in order. We have to
Okay.
take things that are actually on our table at the moment.
but that's the intent behind it, is for the business to run out of this, no?
No,
Okay, I misunderstood.
Any business that this Superior Concrete does would be on your lot or your lot, never on his lot, because he's building your footer, your foundation, your driveway for your new home. So
Right.
if he did any work on this lot with his equipment, it would only be to build his house when we build the house. Because he would obviously do the footer, the walls, the basement floor, the garage floor, and the driveway. That would be the only time concrete trucks would be there, if that helps.
just to clarify, because this is not an application, we have not done a review of that proposal.
no.
Right now, it's just the pole barn. But the idea behind our home occupation regulations is if the property owner is using the parcel for anything commercial related that isn't agricultural or residential, that they require that additional review. We understand that it's not their intent to be doing a lot of concrete work on the property, but if equipment is coming and going, which would not be commensurate with the residential or agricultural use of the property, if it was creating traffic that was above and beyond what was typically associated with the allowed uses, that's where we would require the additional permitting. And so these are questions that have not been asked by the applicant. It's not something staff has reviewed. It is, I don't want to put the cart before the horse here, but this might be better for, after consideration of this permit, a further conversation with the applicant. We'll have to do that anyway to get the affidavit.
I'm trying to be proactive because I thought it might save you time.
I recommend adding, emphasize on the of the activity of commercial use. And if you build a home, is this office going to be in the home?
He said if they build a home, is what?
Is this office going to be in that house?
His office is in his truck on the job site. And I know that because I do work with him, have worked with him for 5 years. It's all on his laptop right there in the truck.
Okay,
Yep, it's all done online,
okay.
on QuickBooks.
Holden, do you have anything? Do you have anything else?
Not related to the pole barn. We can talk about the use later.
Okay.
Well,
Janet keeps looking at me. Can I make a suggestion to a motion Janet can make? How about a motion that determines the rule of no accessory buildings in the front yard is not applicable in this situation due to there being no residents, and with the expectation that applicant will get us an affidavit signed by the property owner?
so we need to add that as a condition?
Not as a condition, I just made that, because those conditions we're not going to be using. We're just simply, it's not applicable, and he will provide this affidavit.
Okay.
That's why.
You're writing that up as far as the commercial part of it, right?
We're not including that because that's, we don't have that yet. So, but do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Good.
Okay. All in favor?
Yeah.
Against?
I'm sorry.
I,
was thinking
retro,
about
I,
something.
as long as we're all on the same page.
Okay, it looks like it's passes. So motion passes. Okay, the next one to hear will be S 2026-16 at 6401 Paris Pike. And presentation, please.
So this application is for a variance again to reduce the western side yard setback from 50 feet to 35 feet to allow the construction of a garage structure. The site is around 5 acres, is zoned A1, and overall staff recommends approval of this request. Shown here is the aerial view of the property, showing the existing residence and the pole barn. The property is accessed from Paris Pike via Taylor Lane. And this is a topography map of the site showing certain low-lying areas towards the south side of the residence. So a structure located on the western portion of the property has already been removed, and the applicant proposes to construct the 30 by 50 foot garage adjacent to the
He's
previously
already in
developed area as seen in the picture.
Not really.
The stuff he's been hauling in, that's clearly commercial.
These are some of the images of the proposed structure submitted by the applicant. The criteria of under KRS 100.243 again, as mentioned in the previous presentation. So according to the applicant, the proposed location was selected due to site-specific constraints, including the presence of a mature tree west of the existing residence, and as illustrated in the image, compliance with the required 50-foot setback would significantly limit the ability to place the garage in a practical location adjacent to the home. In addition to that, it would also conflict with the existing septic system and overhead utility lines located east of the residence as shown in the picture. And moving the structure further towards the south would place it in an area prone to flooding, associated with an existing drainage ditch and waterway connection from adjoining farmland. Additionally, the applicant indicated that driveway access is currently only accessed from Taylor Lane, and the proposed location is the most practical area to connect the structure to the existing driveway system. Overall, staff finds that the variance request is driven from multiple sites, unique site constraints, including utilities, septic, drainage, and the presence of a tree. The proposed location represents a reasonable solution to these constraints, and staff finds that the request satisfies the criteria of KRS 100.243 without adversely affecting public health, safety, welfare, or the character of the surrounding area. In terms of findings, again, the project is a 5-acre A1 zone parcel. The property is currently developed with a single-family residence and an existing barn structure. And the applicant proposes construction of a 30-foot by 50-foot steel garage for vehicle storage and maintenance purposes. The proposed structure is located approximately 35 feet from the western property line along Taylor Lane. Existing utilities, septic location, drainage, driveway access, and preservation of a tree limit feasible alternative locations for the proposed structure. And the requested reduction from 50 feet to 35 feet represents the minimum relief necessary to accommodate the proposed structure. In conclusion, staff recommends approval of the variance to reduce the western side yard setback from 50 feet to 35 feet for the construction of a garage structure at the subject property with the standard conditions of approval as mentioned in the staff report.
Okay, is the owner present?
Yes.
Would you like to speak, please?
Yes, sir. Good evening, everyone. My name is Robert Rosacker. I'm the owner of this property with my wife, Heather. So, yeah, basically, I want to use this garage as just for hobbies. I have motorcycles, and I got a tractor, and I have some cars and things I'd like to have in there, maybe a workshop. So it don't have to be commercial. I'm an engineering manager at Toyota. My wife's a nurse. So, yeah, basically, just want to make this the most usable garage I can have. So I'm going to have 3 doors on the front of the building that would aim towards the driveway there. So basically, I want to be able to get to those doors from the driveway. And there's a really bad problem with flooding, even from the most recent rains we had a week or so ago. The whole road was actually covered in water, and it gets pretty close to it basically will get to like the back corner where the building is now. So anything that would go further back away would just make it that much worse, and I really don't want to get basically all my tools and everything all wet inside the building. And there's just really no access to the front of the property. And honestly, the tree's a really beautiful tree in the back corner of the house. It would be a real shame, I think, to impact that. So it'd be my strong request to not do it. Hopefully, this is one of our neighbors. Well, hopefully, she seems to have no problem with it. My other neighbor on the eastern side, she says she has no problem with it. I talked to her this week. So, anyways, if you have some questions for me, please let me know.
Where's your septic system?
So it's basically on the east side of that tree. So on the right side of that tree, there's a septic
Okay.
system.
Any further questions?
Has the office received any calls or complaints? Okay. Did you want to come in?
I don't have any real issues with, I'm Jackie Ammerman. I'm power of attorney for Peg Honley, who's the landowner. And we don't have any issues with where this is. Only thing I would say is, I think that drawing, like you said, is a little off for the low-lying area, because there's a trench that goes under where those trees are on our side of the lane, and it backs up through there, so you might, I'm just saying for you, build it up on stilts a little in the back.
Let me try to build it
Yeah.
as I can.
So that would be the only concern. I would hate to see him get flooded, but yeah, as far as our property lines and stuff, no problem.
Okay. Charlie, everything okay?
Seems to be, yes.
Would that require any flood insurance if it floods it in that area?
That depends on the ratings of the location and all that sort of thing, all of
Yeah.
which I know nothing about.
I would think if he doesn't have to have it now in his house or wherever he did have it, he wouldn't have to have it on the garage, I wouldn't think.
Is that in a floodplain?
It does not appear to be in the floodplain, but we know not everything in the, you don't have to be in the floodplain to flood.
Right.
And so at this point, we don't believe that it's conflicting with anything. If we discover that, the floodplain map changes before it develops or something like that, the expectation is everything is built at least 1 foot
So you
above the
think
floodplain.
the low-lying area actually in the picture is closer, like it is closer to the garage?
We don't have anything to indicate that the floodplain is closer. However, I'm going to trust the people who live there.
You might know.
Well, what I was saying is, where these trees are, there is a gap under the road, tunnel, whatever, where the water flows through here, over, then it goes on through another hole to another area. And so this part's more like right up here, this part right here.
Oh,
If you look, this diagonal line here, it's kind of like a trench.
Yeah,
That
trench
trench,
that's-
that goes to here, that connects, and then comes out the back of my property the other way, so.
Just a dry creek going through there.
It's not even like, it's just yard, if you look at it, but when it rains really heavily, it fills up with water. Just so that you all know, I'm not gonna finish this with like, there's not gonna be drywall or anything in my building, it's gonna be a storage building for
are you gonna
motorcycles and cars.
Are you gonna heat and cool it?
Uh,
The only reason I asked that, and Terry can second me on this, I know you put the propane out back, the thing will take off on it.
That's a good thing.
No, I mean, I worked
It's a
at
great thing to
Fire
think,
States
to
for
think
like
about.
15 years, and like, I mean, he's chased one down to 27. I've seen him go down Locust
I
Court.
take one through a substation.
Yeah, through a KU substation, like, and we'd have people call us, like, we smell propane, so I just am, like, if she's saying it encroaches that much, then you'll have the tank so far off the property. I'm throwing that out there, not part of,
I don't think I've seen where I'll keep propane will be on like the east side of the building, on the side there, and I've
Yeah.
never seen water anywhere close to that because it's kind of sloped down. So, but it's something to think about. I'll think
Yeah,
about
I'm
whether or
just
not I need
throwing that
to
out there.
secure it down. So, and I've talked to my the concrete guy, and he's assured me that like the foundation should
When
be
she
strong and
showed
won't
me
wash
it, like,
anything
by
away.
the
So he says
tree.
there's no concerns for
Yeah.
him. So, sorry, what'd you say, ma'am?
when she was showing that it was closer, that's why I asked Holden, like, how close?
Okay.
So, I would just like to speak for that. Officially, the area is not under the floodplain zone, but the low-lying area was identified based upon the contours
There we
of
go.
the property. So, the southern side towards the residence, falls under that kind of zone, whereas the property sort of slopes higher towards the north.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, do I hear a motion?
I'll make the motion.
A second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Good luck.
Thank you all.
Thanks.
Just think about it.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Appreciate it. Y'all have a good
I saw 3 days in the door, and I thought, he's gonna want heat in there.
Okay, the next request is S 2026-17, 256 Carrick Pike, for a variance of 50 feet to 28 feet to allow the construction of an attached garage.
Right, so this application is similar to the previous one. It's for a variance to reduce the eastern side yard setback from 50 feet to 28 feet to allow construction of an attached garage. The site is around, again, 5 acres, is zone A1 and is accessed from Carrick Pike. Overall, staff recommends approval of this request. Shown here is the aerial view of the property and the topography map. The site is currently developed with a single-family residence and a driveway extending from Carrick Pike, which overlaps with the eastern property line. And the drawing on the right illustrates the requested 28 feet setback from that property line. The criteria under KRS 100.243, as mentioned in the previous presentations. So the applicant states that the placement of the addition towards the west side of the residence is constrained by the presence of existing overhead electric poles and utilities. Expansion towards the north and south sides of the residence is also limited due to the existing vegetation, site layout, and the configuration of the current home. This is the 3D aerial view of the property just to show those constraints. This is the layout drawing submitted by the applicant to show you the new 44 by 28 foot expansion to the east with the existing residence measuring 48 by 37 feet.
Toshi, in the application description, it said it was an expansion of the current residence for attached garage, but really it's an expansion of the home, right? Because the expansion is actually longer than the home that exists, right?
So if you can see in this image, for the expansion towards the west, they have the new like sort of rooms and things like that, whereas the eastern portion is completely comprises of the garage. So it's expansion of the house plus a garage, plus an attached
Okay.
garage.
They just said for attached garage.
So during the application, it was filed like an attached garage, but eventually when we started getting more materials from the applicant in terms of these drawings,
It's a whole
that's-
other house, look at it. Terry, did you see anything with the electrical?
I mean, they're big
I
on
saw
that.
I saw that line go across there, and I'm like, I don't know enough about that to be
Yeah, they could-
dangerous.
If they went on the other side of the house, it'd be a problem. But
So
that-
that's why they're having to go that way,
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
because of that?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, towards, just to clarify
I
that,
didn't
towards
know
the
why we
west,
had
there are the overhead electric lines, and the expansion is requested towards the east of the property.
I wondered why they were going that way when the majority of the lot goes that way. That's why I was asking.
Alright. Yeah, that's what, one of the questions we did, ask the application, why was the expansion not considered towards the north or the
Yeah,
south or
yeah.
towards the west? So, due to, similar constraints as the previous application, this was determined as the ideal location for that expansion.
I didn't mean to stop you. But the applicant's not here, so I thought I would ask you.
Yes, okay, sure. So staff finds that the variance request is driven by site-specific conditions as mentioned, including existing residence layout, utilities, driveway location, and vegetation which limit alternative locations for the proposed addition. The request represents a reasonable expansion to the existing home, satisfies the criteria of KRS 100.243, and would not adversely affect public health, safety, or welfare, or alter the character of the surrounding area.
Jeez.
In terms of findings, again, the project site is approximately 5 acres, A1 zone parcel. The property is currently developed with an existing single-family residence and driveway access. And the applicant proposes an approximately 44-foot by 28-foot residential addition and attached garage on the eastern side of the residence. Existing electric poles, vegetation, and the configuration of the residence limit feasible alternative locations for the addition. And the requested variance from 50 feet to 28 feet represents the minimum relief necessary to allow the proposed expansion. In conclusion, staff recommends approval of the requested variance towards the eastern side yard setback from 50 feet to 28 feet at the subject property with the standard conditions of approval as stated in the staff report. Does the board have any further questions?
Okay. Any questions?
Any calls or concerns to the office from surrounding neighbors?
Okay, then, I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, wait, Charlie, you okay with everything?
Yes, ma'am.
I didn't realize they had such a car system
I'll
out there.
second your motion.
Okay. All in favor?
Are you finished?
Yeah.
Against? Okay, motion carries.
I had no idea that they had that many, sinkholes out there.
Didn't either.
Did you? I didn't notice that until just right now.
Staff has one other thing that it would like to kind of give you a heads up on. Earlier this year, we received a complaint related to C-Logic. It's a machine and welding fabrication shop located at 5460 Leestown Road. Essentially, this board approved a conditional use permit for the fabrication and machine shop back in 2016. They have operated underneath that conditional use permit for about a decade now. Like I said earlier this year, we received a complaint. Staff made a site visit. We were able to basically confirm that there's been an increased level of off-site impacts related to that use. In addition to that, there's some real questions related to structures that have since been built on the plant or on the parcel without benefit of permit or development plan. Essentially, the business has expanded, which is good. The problem is that it looks like it's impacting the neighbors pretty severely. And so we've been in contact with the owners of C-Logic. We've informed them of this complaint. We've been working through to try to find some sort of solution. Unfortunately, we just haven't been able to find that solution yet. And so it's staff's intent to host a administrative review of their conditional use permit at the July meeting of this board.
Who are the owners, Holden?
That's Chris Furlong. I believe their LLC is Fur Shear LLC. The purpose of that will basically be to present the evidence of the violation take a look at those impacts to the neighbors, and then leave it to you to figure out what the next steps be, which could include the revocation of that conditional use permit or setting some sort of timeline for compliance. Again, this is not something we do all the time, and so that's why I thought a month in advance I should go ahead and let you know that that's one of the things we'll be looking at next month. The applicant, or rather the conditional use permit holder, is aware of this, and so.
Yeah, it was 10 years ago.
2016, yeah. The property has been utilized for commercial activity much longer than just 10 years, but this conditional use permit is 10 years old.
Are they willing to cooperate with you?
You weren't able to make contact, or?
We've made contact, we've had lots of conversations. Ultimately, though, we just haven't been able to affect change.
What's the address again?
5460 Leestown Road.
Is that there at the corner of,
Right behind
Yes.
the motel there.
okay.
Right there by
Oh, I've
ABS.
seen
Yeah,
that.
they've been there for 60 years. Well, not they,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
uses have been there for 60 years.
Commercial use has been there that long,
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just the use is expanded.
Yeah.
yeah.
but they
And
built
behind it-
structure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I'm not gonna bury the lead. The big thing is they're doing a lot of sand blasting outside. That sand gets picked up and blown by the wind, and it's got a residential structure immediately next door.
There's actually a subdivision to the east of it, isn't it, immediately?
Right, is it a subdivision?
It's about 5 or 6 houses up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a small subdivision, but
They-
it's a subdivision,
They can't move that inside.
yeah.
That's what we'd like them to do. It just hasn't happened yet.
Okay,
What would you like them to do?
ask if they can
Just
move it inside.
move it inside,
Oh,
I mean,
put a
I mean,
ventilation system on it,
what about
catch the
the
sand.
outbuildings or whatever?
That's
You said they
the
didn't have
second.
permits for them?
Well, they don't have a development plan.
Oh.
And so that would be the other thing, is obviously we want a development
Are they
plan.
large structures?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, what's very likely to happen is we had asked that they have a development plan into us by June 1. That's the filing deadline for this month. Because we did not receive that, that's why I'm coming to you
Oh,
next.
man.
It's possible that on July 1st, they file that development plan.
There's no
And then we have our
extension?
meeting, that same week. At that point, though, I would still like the conditional use at least considered, because I think that will shape, kind of what that process looks like.
Is there an extension at all for the June 1st? Like if you called them and said that they could have an extension until the 10th and then they got it in?
Our cycle is.
Okay, I
is-
don't know, that's what I was asking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, that's all staff has on that case at this time.
Okay. Any other further business?
There's something happening on 227. Do you all know anything about that?
Are you talking about the place that's
There's
got
a
the
severe
entrance
amount-
permit or something on?
KYDES permit.
There you
Yeah,
go.
the entrance permit?
I
I
had,
have no idea
no, it
what it
says
said.
it was a waterway. So I've had
There's
several,
probably like a little blue line stream that runs in
There
the.
there is, and it's got the silk screen up.
Yeah, because that's an environmental
It's in,
permit.
yeah.
So it is
KYDES.
Yeah, I seen it.
They
When I
had-
come up,
well, they-
up here at Georgetown.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they erected a sign. It's a gross amount of dirt and everything that's being moved around, but you all don't know anything about it.
Only thing, there's a house or a barn
Or a church.
or a church.
We haven't seen a conditional use permit for a church.
You have not?
Right?
No development plan. Are you-
I don't, I'm asking.
are you
I'm
gonna
like,
be Where's State Ground Church of God at?
they're on Locust Fork.
Yeah, okay, so it's not.
No.
That's the only one.
This
out
is
there
where
that
the
you
barn
have.
quilt was on the barn blew down.
They used to sell vegetables there.
There are,
Who used to own the property?
there are several structures that have been built out back.
Or who's it close to?
Mullins is, Mike Mullins
Mike.
returns. And then they gave it to him, I guess he sold it.
Mike was split at the waterway, right?
Yeah. That's who used to own it.
We
Okay.
don't have any plans or permits for church or anything of that nature.
Do we have any form of an address or anything else to go off of for us to use? We can look up permit numbers and go et cetera, but
I'll look on my way home, their mailbox maybe.
How far out is that? Anywhere near Sharp Park Pike, for example?
No, it's on this side of town.
It's-
Yeah, it's on,
Oh,
the
oh, it's on
Georgetown
this,
side.
Georgetown side.
It's right up there, almost charged right over the cemetery. is that?
Yeah, it's right
Not
before.
very far from the cemetery.
So
Right
Close to
beside-
where Mark Farrell lived.
It's right beside
Oh,
the.
okay.
there.
Well, I know
On the
exactly where that
King
is.
place
Okay.
There's a blue house that sits way off the road.
It's
That
it's right
was
in that
my
curve, right across from Gaines Farm and.
No,
No.
on close
No,
to
it's
town.
where everybody starts
going on
getting
past, okay.
momentum to wreck
You
into
remember
Margaret
Jay
Combs
Tackett
mailbox.
lived?
Yeah.
Remember? Right straight across from Jay Tackett.
There you
Okay.
go.
That house used to be a parsonage for the city
Okay.
of.
It's
or
a
the
serious,
First
serious amount of dirt, isn't it,
They
Terry?
got quite a bit, they got a lot going on over there.
And like, nobody knows. I'm just throwing it out there. I was hoping you all be like, oh yeah, we're all over it.
Yeah, we'll check if it needs a
Thank
clearing
you.
and grading permit.
Thank you. Because they've built several, like, when you said the Leestown, they had built all those structures behind it. There are several behind this home now.
I just want to say, Helen, the meeting that Stamping Ground had last week, that was a very good, informative meeting.
So many people were
You all
touched and
did good
moved.
on that. Very informative.
Any other further business? Okay, do I hear a motion to dismiss?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Second, third.
Hey, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.